welcome back to my channel and welcome if you are new. Today we are back in the kitchen for March Madness. Now, March Madness is a very stressful time in this household. Well, for my husband anyway. With all the action he has going on, it's a roller coaster for him. March Madness is a time of ups and downs for my husband every year. And you know, we are in Vegas, so the lines are the lines. If you know, you know. Now, to help my husband through this stressful time, I am going to take on a March Madness feast. Let me go over the menu. We will be making classic chicken wings, both buffalo chicken wings and lemon pepper chicken wings. So one dry, one wet. We're also gonna be making cheeseburger sliders. I'm gonna do some chicken taquitos, and they're gonna be more of a chicken jalapeno and cheese taquito with some homemade avocado cilantro dip. We're just gonna make it up as we go, but I'm sure it'll be delicious. We're also going to do pizza, but instead of a regular pizza, this time I wanna do a French bread pizza, making my own French bread from scratch. And then lastly, because my husband loved them so much in our Super Bowl feast, he went ahead and requested that I again do the beer battered onion rings. So we are going to crack open our beer. Today I have Blue Moon. Let's get started on this feast. Cheers. All right, so we're just gonna go ahead and get started with our French bread because we want to give that time to rise while we're working on other things. So I'm gonna go ahead and put my package of active dry yeast in here. I'm gonna do 1 tablespoon of sugar, 1 cup of warm water. I'm gonna go ahead and wait a minute for our yeast to start proofing. A few minutes later, and you can see here, our yeast has sprouted a bit, it's poofing up, so we good to go. I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 1 teaspoon of salt, and I'm gonna add about 3.5 cups of flour. Okay, that's coming together. So I'm gonna go ahead and knead this dough for about 10 minutes. Okay, so we've kneaded this for about 10 minutes now to really work that gluten. As you can see, it's a nice soft, smooth dough now. It doesn't stick to your fingers or anything. I'm gonna go ahead and place this we'll back in this bowl, but I'm gonna add a little bit of olive oil. We're gonna let this rise and double for about 1.5 to 2 hours. So I just pulled this out of the oven. It's been proofing in there for about 2 hours. I guess it's about doubled. Punch this down and then let it rest for another 15 minutes. Now that the dough's been resting for 15 minutes, let's go ahead and divide the dough in half. Now we'll just kind of stretch these out till they form our French bread shape. Okay. Now I have here 1 egg mixed with 2 tablespoons of whole milk. I'm just gonna brush this on top. Now we're just gonna let this rise and double for about an hour. Then we'll go ahead and throw it in the oven at 375 and bake it for about 25 minutes. Okay, now while we're waiting for that French bread to double in size, we're gonna go ahead and get started on our jalapeno chicken taquitos. I have here already some regular shredded up chicken tenders. Went ahead and shredded those. I'm going to add in just a cup. So I don't have a recipe for this. I'm just kind of winging it. I mean, it's another thing where you can just throw in whatever you like. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna do just some simple garlic salt in here, onion powder, some pepper, and then I'm gonna add in 2 different cheeses. These are freshly shredded. I shredded these this morning. Shredded Colby Jack cheese, and then this is some shredded mozzarella. Unfortunately, I don't have Monterey Jack, which is what I would put in here if I had it, but I don't. And then I went ahead and finally diced up some jalapeno, so I'm gonna go ahead and throw that in as well. Let's go ahead and get started rolling our taquitos. So I just have here some corn tortillas, and they are warmed so that they're more pliable. And then I have here just a simple equal ratio of flour and water just to make like a little paste that'll help seal them. It doesn't open while we're frying them up. Okay, so we have a total of 10 here. And as you saw, I tried to roll them like on the thinner side because these are meant to be appetizer. They're not meant to be an entree. Of course, you can leave out, you know, the jalapeno if you don't like things spicy, but I did add it in there because I do want to make that cilantro avocado dip, and that'll give it more of like a cooling effect, so that to counterbalance that jalapeno that's in there. So we're gonna go ahead and do a shallow fry on these right now. And since the chicken, I mean, it's cooked, really you're just frying the tortilla and melting that cheese that's on the inside. So we're just gonna go ahead and shallow fry them just for a couple of minutes on each side. And then we'll take them out and put them on a cooling rack and then salt them a bit. You really don't wanna put any kind of fried items, taquitos, flautas, whatever, on paper towels. You want to put them on a cooling rack with a pan underneath because you want that residual oil to come off, and you want them to stay nice and crispy. So we're gonna go ahead and start that now. So now we're gonna go ahead and get started on our chicken wings. I have the air fryer preheating right now for 400 degrees. So I have 8 wings in flats here. The first batch, we're gonna do simple lemon pepper seasoning, baking powder. You need the baking powder if you want your wings to be like extra crispy. Since we're not going to be oil frying these, we're gonna be air frying. That's how we're gonna get that real crispy texture. Give, you know, at least a couple tablespoons full, depending on how many wings you have. We'll do a coat, like a spray coat of oil. So in total, I'm thinking I'm gonna cook these for about 20 minutes in the air fryer at 400 and then flip them halfway. So let's get that started. Now that our chicken wings are in the air fryer cooking, let's go ahead and get started on our beer battered onion rings. So again, we are gonna be using the Martha Stewart recipe because it is fire. These onion rings are so good. So in my bowl, I'm gonna go ahead and get started on mixing up the batter. So I already have the onions cut up into rings, and I've just had them soaking in some ice water for a bit, just while I make up the batter, and then we'll go ahead and start frying them on the stove. Okay, so I'm gonna go in with 2 cups of all-purpose flour. I'm gonna hit it with a teaspoon of salt, ground white pepper, 1/4 of a teaspoon. You have a teaspoon of baking powder. Let's give that a whisk. I'm gonna add 1 cup of flour in just like a separate dish. I'm gonna go ahead and add 1 cup of this Blue Moon, 2 tablespoons of some ice water. Whisk that in. Okay, we have our sliced onions here. Dip into flour, shake it off a bit, into batter, and then straight into the frying. Have our batch or basket of onion rings done, I went ahead and threw the French bread into the oven. So that's gonna be in there for about 25 minutes at 375 until it's like golden brown or like hollow when you tap onto it. While that's working, we're gonna move on now to our cheeseburger sliders. So for these, I'm not making the buns because I'm already making the French bread from scratch. So I went ahead and bought slider buns for these, but we're gonna make these using the King's Hawaiian slider buns. We haven't tried these before, but we love King's Hawaiian bread, obviously. So I am going to form like small little patties. What I'll do is get some of the ground beef I have, and then I'm just gonna season it a bit. I don't have a recipe for these sliders, but it's pretty simple. We're just gonna season and cook the meat, add some cheese on it. Likely it'll be the Colby Jack cheese that I have, and then we'll start assembling. Let's go. Now we're gonna work on our batch of the buffalo wings. So for these, I'm only gonna season them with, well, generously with some salt because the buffalo sauce is already so powerful. So what we'll do is we'll do the same thing. We'll season these, throw these in the air fryer at 400 degrees, 10 minutes, flip them, and then another about 8 minutes or so. And then we'll go ahead and get the buffalo sauce started. We have our wings out of the air fryer, and I went ahead and heated up some of this Frank's Red Hot buffalo wing sauce. So 1 cup of sauce to 3 tablespoons of butter. So now that our French bread is done and kind of cooled, here's what we're looking like. Looks kind of wonky, but it'll be good. We're gonna go ahead and half this French bread, and then I'm gonna make a mixture of just some freshly grated Parmesan cheese, Italian seasoning, olive oil, and then go ahead and toast that up first in the oven before we start adding all of our toppings. Okay, now that we have it extra crispy, it's kind of like a garlic bread right now. So let's go ahead and add our toppings. We're gonna do this marinara sauce. Dang, smells good. I'm going with a little bit of mozzarella, Italian sausage, pepperoni, green bell pepper, red onion, a lot more cheese. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the oven to broil. You can see our French bread pizzas out of the oven, nice and cheesy. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and assemble our sliders, each side with our secret sauce. Now we have our cute little slider burgers. Okay, so now we're gonna make the dipping sauce for the taquitos, and I'm just making this up. It's gonna be avocado, sour cream, cilantro, a little bit of lime juice, and salt and pepper. Everyone, that is it for this March Madness feast. I've been nibbling and tasting along the way, and so far everything is fire. We're gonna go ahead and dig into this feast now. Let me know if you enjoyed this one or if you wanna try any of the recipes. For the ones that I do have recipes for, I'll go ahead and link them down in the description box for you so that you can follow along. And then the other ones I don't, I did try to give out the rough measurements of what I was doing. Drop me a comment below if you have another feast idea that I should try next. And we're out. Let the madness begin.